We met back in 2014 at a coworker's engagement party. Rachel worked in the marketing department at a local media firm, and I was doing contract electrical work at the time. I wasn't even supposed to go to that party. My buddy practically dragged me there after a long shift, but I'm glad he did. Rachel was sitting out on the patio when I arrived, holding court with a few people, laughing that kind of loud, unfiltered laugh you don't hear from someone pretending to be someone they're not. She caught my eye immediately. Not just because she was beautiful, but because she had this presence. She looked like someone who always knew exactly where she was headed. We got to talking halfway through the night over drinks and some terrible chips and dip. The conversation was easy. She was quick with jokes, curious without prying, and talked about her job with the kind of energy that made you want to ask more. I told her about the kind of work I did, mostly residential back then, and she didn't glaze over like most people did when I got into the technical stuff. She actually listened. By the end of the night, I had her number, and I walked back to my car knowing something had just shifted in my life. From there, things moved naturally. Our first few dates were simple: local restaurants, coffee on Sunday mornings, hikes at a state park just outside the city. We weren't flashy, just comfortable. There was a lot of laughter, a lot of long conversations where time kind of disappeared. Within 6 months, we were basically inseparable. We moved in together about a year later into a small apartment above a bookstore. The floor creaked, the windows were drafty, and the shower made this high-pitched whistle every time you turned the hot water on. But we loved it. She filled the place with plants and candles. I fixed up a tiny corner to work on side projects and kept tools in neatly stacked boxes under the bed. We made it work. We got married 2 years into our relationship. It was a modest ceremony, just friends and family in a converted barn out in the country. Rachel planned most of it herself. She's organized to a fault, but in a good way. I remember standing across from her as she said her vows and thinking, this is it. This is the life I want to build. And that's exactly what we did. Today, we live in a 2-story place with a backyard big enough for our golden retriever, Jasper, to run wild. She works from home now, remote job for a national marketing firm, and I've since grown my own small electrical business. We both stay busy, but we've got our routines. Morning coffee, walking the dog after work, cooking dinner together a few nights a week. It's not exciting to most people, I guess, but it's our normal. And it works. If there's one thing I've learned over the years, it's that real relationships are built on small, consistent routines. Big moments are great, holidays, anniversaries, weekends away, but it's the little things that become the fabric of your life together. And with Rachel, we've built a life full of those little things. Our mornings are mostly quiet. I usually wake up first. I've always been an early riser, and working in the trades has kept me on that clock. I'll head downstairs, feed Jasper, and start the coffee. Rachel usually comes down half an hour later, wrapped in a robe, her hair a mess, yawning and scrolling through her emails with one hand and cradling a mug with the other. She's not really a morning person, but over the years, she's learned how to function well enough to hold a conversation before 9 a.m. After breakfast, I head out to whatever job site I'm working. I've got 2 guys working for me now, which helps a ton, but I'm still hands-on. I like being in control of the quality of work we do: wiring, lighting installs, panel replacements. Nothing glamorous, but I'm proud of it. Rachel, on the other hand, has a full work-from-home setup. She spends her days on video calls, managing campaigns, coordinating between teams across time zones. Sometimes I hear her through the phone when I get home. She's got this professional tone that's all business, nothing like the relaxed version of her I know at night. Evenings are where we sync up again. Most days, she's the one making dinner. She's big on trying out new recipes, everything from Thai curries to fancy salads with ingredients I've never heard of. I'm more of a meat and potatoes guy, so we take turns compromising. On Fridays, we usually order in. There's a sushi place nearby she loves, and I've learned to like it too, even if I still think the portions are a little small for the price. After dinner, we'll walk Jasper around the neighborhood. It's a quiet area, mostly families, older couples. We know a few neighbors by name, and there's this older guy down the street, Ron, who always waves from his porch. We talk during those walks, nothing deep most of the time. Just little check-ins, work updates, planning the weekend. Sometimes we talk about vacations we want to take, house upgrades we might make, or whether we should finally bite the bullet and turn the guest room into a proper office for her. Weekends are more flexible. Saturday mornings are her time. She'll sleep in or meet up with friends for brunch. I usually catch up on paperwork, invoices, or swing by the supply store. Sunday's more of a together day. We do groceries, clean the house, maybe go out for lunch or work on a project. Rachel's good at organizing our lives in a way that makes it all feel effortless. She keeps track of bills, plans our social calendar, reminds me to send birthday cards to my relatives, all the stuff I'd forget otherwise. Our relationship isn't flashy or dramatic. It's just stable, predictable in the best way. We know each other's rhythms. We've got a system that works. We're not the couple that's all over each other in public, but we've got this quiet understanding. She'll put on a face mask and watch a show upstairs. I'll be downstairs with a beer watching the game. And it never feels like distance. It just feels like balance. It's funny. People always talk about marriage like it's this constant effort, a daily struggle to keep things fresh or exciting. But sometimes, I think the most underrated part is when it's just easy. Just two people sharing a life that feels like home. Looking back now, I think what I appreciated most about our marriage was the sense of ease that came with it. Not in the lazy sense. Rachel and I both worked hard, kept busy, had our goals, but in the way things fit. The way being with her never felt like something I had to constantly question or analyze. We'd settled into something solid, something I believed was lasting. Our house isn't huge, but it's enough. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, a little backyard where Jasper has completely destroyed the grass in some spots from all his running. The place had good bones when we bought it, but I've spent years slowly turning it into what Rachel likes to call our forever home. She picked out the paint colors, the backsplash tile, the light fixtures in the hallway. I handled the tools, the wiring, the stuff behind the walls. In a weird way, that house became a physical map of our teamwork. Rachel has an eye for design. She could walk into a room and know instantly where everything should go. At first, I'd push back, practical over pretty, but I learned quickly that when she had a vision, it was usually right. She'd turn the most basic room into something that felt like it belonged in a magazine. Even the little reading nook upstairs with the oversized chair and hanging lamp, that was all her. And now I find myself sitting there most evenings, reading or just watching Jasper nap by the window. Socially, Rachel's the outgoing one. She's always planning something: dinner with friends, little weekend trips, birthdays, get-togethers. She keeps our calendar full, and honestly, I like it that way. I'm not antisocial, just not the type to organize a gathering or suggest a night out. But Rachel brings that energy. She likes things happening. She likes people around her. And somehow, even with all that, she still makes time for quiet nights at home with me. No fuss. She's also incredibly independent. She's not the type to check in constantly or need to be reassured. She does her thing, trusts me to do mine, and we meet in the middle. I always respected that about her. There's a kind of confidence in the way she lives, like she knows who she is, knows what she brings to the table, and expects the same in return. It kept me grounded, honestly. Made me feel like I had someone beside me who could carry her own weight, who didn't need me to hold everything together for both of us. We've talked about kids a few times. It's never been a big pressure point, more like an ongoing conversation we revisit every few months. I think we both like the idea in theory, but with her job and my business, it always felt like something we'd do later. The truth is, I was happy with just us. With this life we'd built out of paint samples, grocery lists, and Sunday walks. It wasn't perfect, but it felt real. It felt like home. And that's where we were: two people, busy but connected, steady but still laughing, living in a home we made from scratch, together. There was no part of me that felt unsure. No part of me that looked at her and thought anything was missing. It's strange, looking back now, knowing what's coming. But at the time, I would have told you, with complete certainty, that we were solid. It was a Tuesday evening when Rachel brought it up. I had just come back from a long day, rewiring a basement in a century-old house that didn't seem to believe in anything built after 1950. I was beat, halfway through microwaving leftovers, when she walked into the kitchen, leaned against the counter, and gave me one of those looks that meant she had something she wanted to say. "Hey, babe," she started, real casual. "So, the girls and I were talking, and we're thinking about doing a quick trip next month." I looked up from the microwave. "Trip?" "Yeah, just a little getaway. Nothing fancy. 3 or 4 days in Florida, maybe Miami. Just to relax, blow off some steam. It's been a long year, and we haven't done anything together in forever." I nodded. "Yeah, I remember you mentioning something about that. Who's going?" She rattled off a few names, old college friends, some coworkers I vaguely knew. I wasn't really paying attention to the names, just the way she seemed excited about it. Rachel didn't take a lot of time for herself. She was always busy, always plugged into work or planning things for us. A trip like this sounded like something she probably needed. I was going to put it on my card, she added, but I was wondering if we could just pull from the joint account. Flights are cheaper if we book soon, and I figured we could just call it my birthday gift, since I haven't asked for anything. She said it like it was no big deal, like we hadn't just bought a new washer the month before or paid off our fence project. But we were in a good place financially. Business had been strong the past couple of quarters, and Rachel had just landed a big contract at work. I didn't even hesitate. Yeah, I said, that's fine. How much do you need? She came around the counter and hugged me from behind. You're the best. Probably around $1,200 or so. That should cover the flight and the Airbnb. I'll pay for food and whatever else. I tapped the microwave door closed and turned toward her. Book it while the deals are good. She smiled, kissed me on the cheek, and went to grab her laptop. Just like that, it was decided. That night, she stayed up late looking at resorts and sending messages in her group chat. I heard her laughing from the bedroom while I was brushing my teeth, her voice light and quick like it used to be when we first started dating. She was in a good mood. Playful. Flirty even. She kept showing me outfit options from her online cart, swimsuits, sandals, a new cover-up she swore was on sale even though it clearly wasn't. I teased her about packing too much, and she just rolled her eyes, saying, "You don't even know what goes into girls' trip prep." I went to sleep that night thinking how glad I was she was doing something for herself. I figured she deserved it. She works hard, carries a lot on her plate. I never once thought to question it. Looking back now, I wish I had. The week leading up to Rachel's trip was a blur. Between work calls, packing, and coordinating with the other girls, she was buzzing with energy. She's always been a planner, but this time it felt like she was treating this trip like a full-blown international expedition. I didn't think much of it at first. She likes things done a certain way, and truthfully, I usually just get out of the way and let her handle it. Still, there were little things that caught my attention. One night she stayed up until 1 a.m. shopping online, not just picking outfits but curating them: jewelry, shoes, cover-ups, all perfectly matched. It was more than I'd ever seen her prepare for a vacation. Usually she'd pack the night before and figure it out when she got there. This time it felt deliberate, like she was dressing for someone else's eyes, not just sun and sand. I told myself I was imagining things, that maybe this was just what getting older looked like, being more intentional, more put together. Still, the thought lingered longer than it should have. She left on a Thursday morning. I drove her to the airport, carried her bags, kissed her goodbye. She wore a white tank top and tan linen pants, sunglasses on her head, a new beach tote slung over her shoulder. She looked incredible. I told her so, and she laughed, said, "Good. Maybe I'll actually get some decent Instagram photos this time." I didn't think anything of it. Rachel always joked about how unphotogenic she was, which, for the record, isn't true at all. The house felt empty after she left. Jasper followed me from room to room for the rest of the day, clearly confused about where she'd gone. I went back to work that afternoon, wrapped up a ceiling fan install, and came home to leftovers and a cold bed. She texted when she landed, a short message: "Landed. Group's already here. Heading to the place now. Love you." No photo. No call. Just that. That night I tried calling her around 9. No answer. 10 minutes later she replied, "Sorry, babe. We're at dinner. It's super loud in here. I'll call you later if I'm still awake." She didn't. The next day, she sent a picture of the pool. Just her legs and a cocktail glass balanced on the edge of the lounge chair. The caption said, "Living my best life, nothing unusual." But what stuck with me was how impersonal it felt. Like it could have been sent to anyone. Like I wasn't her husband, just another contact in her list of people to keep updated. I tried calling again that night. It rang a few times, then went a voicemail. This time she messaged back a little quicker. "Hey, can't talk now. Spa night. Love you. Spa night." Again, I wasn't mad. Not really. I mean, she was on vacation. With friends. She deserved to unwind. But something felt off. Not wrong, just off. Like there was a delay between her and me. Like she was moving through some version of her life that I wasn't invited into. I didn't bring it up. I didn't want to sound needy or paranoid. She's always had her independence, and I've never been the guy to ask a million questions. But that weekend, every time my phone buzzed, a part of me hoped it was her. And when it wasn't, that same part of me kept asking, "Why do you feel like this?" I didn't have an answer. Not yet. By the time Rachel had been gone 2 full days, I realized how long a weekend can feel when your home's a little too quiet. I kept busy, reorganized some of the garage shelves I'd been meaning to get to, knocked out a couple of smaller work orders, even gave Jasper a proper bath for once. But still, there was this stretch of empty in the house, like every room was just waiting for her to come back and fill it. She sent a few texts here and there, casual stuff. A picture of some seafood dish with the caption, "You'd hate this, too much garlic LOL," or a short video of the beach with wind and chatter in the background. But what was missing were the things I hadn't even realized I'd come to expect from her. No FaceTimes. No group selfies. No commentary about the trip. Rachel normally came alive on vacations. She'd text me funny moments, vent about her friends, rant about bad service, send me "wish you were here" photos. But this time, it was surface level. Clean. Distant. I asked her how things were going, and she replied, "So fun." Trying not to check my email. You'd be proud. I was. Sort of. But again, something about the way she talked felt edited, like a highlight reel. Nothing spontaneous, nothing real. On Saturday, I got a text around 11 a.m. saying they were doing a boat rental and would be out on the water all afternoon. I replied, "Sounds amazing. Don't forget sunscreen this time." She didn't respond until almost 8 that night, just a simple, "Haha, too late." No photos. No sunburn story. Just a message that could have been sent while sitting on a couch, not a boat. The thing is, I wasn't looking to find anything wrong. I wasn't snooping, and I wasn't suspicious in the way people usually mean when they say that. It wasn't about trust. It was more like watching someone you've known for years act like themselves in a play, all the right lines, none of the real connection. That night, I decided to scroll through Instagram. Rachel doesn't post much when she's traveling, says she likes to be in the moment, but I figured maybe one of her friends tagged her in something. I searched a couple of the girls she said she was traveling with. Nothing new. One of their profiles hadn't been updated since last month. Another had a blurry photo of a cocktail, no people in it. It struck me as odd, only because when they went to Vegas last year, they'd flooded social media with pictures, dancing, dinner, group shots on hotel balconies. This time, radio silence. I remember sitting on the couch, Jasper curled up next to me, the TV playing something forgettable. I wasn't panicked. I wasn't jealous. Just uneasy. Like I'd walked into a room where the furniture was the same, but someone had turned all the pictures on the wall ever so slightly crooked. And maybe it was nothing. Maybe I was just reading into it because I missed her. Or maybe it was the silence itself, the kind you don't notice until you start listening for it. Whatever it was, I couldn't shake it. Sunday came faster than I expected. Rachel was scheduled to fly back Monday morning, and if I'm being honest, I was looking forward to having her home again. Not just because of the silence or the meals I'd been half-heartedly throwing together, but because I missed her. Or maybe I missed who I thought I'd see when she walked through the door. I wasn't sure anymore. That morning, I texted her a simple "Morning, hope you slept okay." No response for over 3 hours, which wasn't too unusual on a weekend, but still, I noticed. Around noon, I got a short reply, "Slept in. Lazy morning. Just grabbing brunch now." There was a smiley face at the end, like that made it warmer, more personal. But it felt like one of those texts you send out of obligation, not connection. I asked what the plan was for the day. She said they were doing some sightseeing and just playing it by ear. She mentioned one of the girls wanted to go shopping, so they'd probably split off for a bit. Normal stuff, but vague. Just vague enough that I couldn't really picture what she was doing or who she was with at any given moment. I sat with that all afternoon. I'd never been someone who needed constant updates. Rachel and I never tracked each other, never texted every hour. We'd always given each other space. But this time, I didn't feel like I was giving her space. I felt like I was standing on the outside of something I wasn't allowed to understand. Later that day, I saw her post a story to Instagram. Just a short clip of waves hitting the shore, a sliver of her feet in the corner, and the caption, "Never leaving." It was beautiful, sure, but something about it rubbed me the wrong way. There were no friends in the shot. No one talking in the background. It didn't feel like part of a group trip. It felt solo. Still, I didn't say anything. I didn't want to come off as clingy. And truthfully, I didn't even know what I'd say. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even suspicious in the classic sense. It was more like I was watching her through a sheet of glass, close enough to see, too far to reach. That night, I tried calling her around 9. It rang twice and went a voicemail. A minute later, she sent, "Hey babe, can't talk right now. Wi-Fi's terrible and I'm wiped." I'll see you tomorrow. That was it. I stared at that message for a long time. I tried telling myself it was normal, that she was tired, that I'd see her soon and we'd laugh about how off I'd been feeling. But deep down, I knew what that message really meant. She was already gone. Not physically, not yet, but something between us had shifted. I couldn't explain it, couldn't prove it. But the connection we'd built over years, the one I thought was solid, was flickering like a light with a wire slowly coming loose behind the wall. And I didn't know it then, but the wall was about to come down. Rachel's flight was scheduled to land just after noon on Monday. I had the day off, partly because I wanted to pick her up from the airport, and partly because I figured we could ease back into things, grab lunch, catch up, maybe just spend the afternoon at home doing nothing. I hadn't said anything about how strange the weekend had felt. I told myself I was imagining it, that I'd see her, hold her, and everything would click back into place. I never made it to the airport. At 10:47 that morning, my phone rang. I was in the middle of folding laundry, Jasper asleep on the rug at my feet. The number wasn't saved in my contacts, but the area code looked familiar. I almost let it go to voicemail, but something made me answer. It was Lauren, one of Rachel's friends, not her best friend, but someone I'd met a few times at dinners and parties. She sounded nervous, her voice tight and clipped, like she was trying to get herself to say something she'd been holding back for too long. Mark, I'm sorry to call like this. I know it's probably not my place, but I can't keep pretending I didn't see anything. I stood completely still, phone pressed to my ear, heart already starting to race. She took a breath. Rachel's been seeing someone. On this trip. It's not just a fling. They've been together the whole time. He's not part of the friend group. She flew him out. They've been sharing a room. I didn't want to be part of it, and I'm sorry, but I thought you deserved to know. I didn't say anything. My mouth was dry. My body felt like it had dropped into ice water. She kept talking. I've been trying to talk myself out of this for days, but I couldn't look at her anymore without thinking about you. You've always been kind to all of us. You don't deserve this. Then she said, I'm sending you something. The call ended. 10 seconds later, my phone vibrated again. A message. I opened it. It was a photo, grainy, taken from behind a glass balcony door. Rachel, in a red sundress I'd never seen before, standing close to a man I didn't recognize. They were kissing. Her arms were around his neck. His hand was resting low on her back like they'd done this 100 times before. I stared at the photo, blinked, looked again. There was no ambiguity, no chance it was innocent, no room for an alternate explanation. I felt everything all at once. My stomach turned. My face flushed hot. My jaw clenched so tight it hurt. And beneath it all was the still, heavy silence. Not rage, not shock, just finality. She had done it. She had lied. To my face, through her messages, and every casual check-in over the past few days. All while holding someone else. A few minutes later, I got a text from Rachel. Landed. Can't wait to see you. I didn't reply. I stood in our living room, holding my phone, and realized I wasn't waiting to see her anymore. I was done waiting. For answers. For explanations. For the person I thought she was to reappear. She wasn't coming back. I didn't go to the airport. I didn't call her. I didn't reply to her text. Instead, I stood in the middle of our house, the one I wired, painted, fixed, repaired, lived in, and looked around like I was seeing it for the first time. And I saw her in everything. The books on the shelf. The perfume on the bathroom counter. The framed photos lining the hallway. Her handwriting on a sticky note stuck to the fridge. Don't forget almond milk. Every room was hers. Every inch. And I knew, with total certainty, that I couldn't let her back into it. So I started with the closet. I pulled every piece of her clothing off the hangers. The dresses she bought for weddings. The coats we picked out together. Her favorite worn-in sweatshirts. I folded them all, neatly, deliberately, and packed them into boxes. Every drawer she used, every shelf. Her shoes. Her hair tools. Her skincare routines that used to clutter the sink. All of it. Into bags, into boxes, into the garage. Then came the gifts. The bracelet I gave her for our 3rd anniversary. The set of leather-bound notebooks she swore she'd fill and never did. The framed quote she loved, grow together or grow apart, that now felt like a cruel joke. All of it went into a separate box. I wasn't going to leave it behind. I paid for it. I gave it. I wasn't giving her anything else. By the time I was done, it was well past dark. I turned on every light in the house and lined the boxes in the front hallway. Her suitcases were still upstairs, the ones she used for the trip. I carried them down, placed them neatly beside the rest. I left the front porch light on, but not for her. For the message it sent, "You don't live here anymore." And then I changed the locks. Not the code. Not just the deadbolt. The whole hardware. I pulled the old one off myself and installed the new set before midnight. A clean, cold click. Just like that, the house was mine again. She showed up just after 1 a.m. I saw the headlights. Heard the car door. A soft knock on the door followed by the rustle of her dragging a suitcase up the step. Then her voice. Calm at first. "Mark." She knocked again. "Babe?" "It's me." I didn't move. I stood in the kitchen, just out of sight, arms folded, watching the clock tick. After a minute, her tone changed. More confused. Then frustrated. "Mark, come on. What's going on?" And then her phone buzzed. I know because mine buzzed too, a flurry of texts coming in, back to back. "Why is the door locked? Where's the key? Why are my things out here? Mark, what the hell is going on?" I didn't answer. After a few minutes, I watched through the window as she scrolled through her phone, pacing. Then she made a call. I didn't pick up. She tried again. Still nothing. I watched her walk to her car, stand by the door for a long time, just staring at the house. She didn't cry. She didn't yell. She just stood there, the reality finally setting in. Before she could drive off, I sent one text. "I know." And that was it. No explanation. No fight. No second chance. I don't know where she went that night. I didn't care. I left her things out until morning. A neighbor asked if we were moving. I said nothing and closed the garage. The next day, I did one more thing. I called Lauren, the friend who told me the truth, and I thanked her. She didn't expect it. I could tell. But she said she did what she had to do. I told her I respected that. I told her I appreciated her honesty. And maybe out of some dark, twisted sense of justice, or maybe just clarity, I asked if she wanted to come over that night. She did. Rachel never found out what happened between us. I didn't tell her. But later that week, I sent her a message. No words. Just a short video clip, Lauren walking out of my house, wearing the same sweater Rachel left behind months ago. Her laugh audible. My voice behind the camera. I never replied to what came next. Not the dozens of calls. Not the long text messages. Not the last-ditch apology that read more like panic than regret. She had made her choice. And now, so had I. For the first time in years, the house was quiet in a way that didn't feel heavy. No more tension lingering behind each conversation. No more pretending everything was fine while I tiptoed around feelings I didn't know I should be questioning. Rachel was gone. Her scent, her things, her energy, all of it cleared out like dust after a storm. At first, I thought it would be suffocating to be here alone. But what I found, instead, was space. Not the kind that echoes. The kind that breathes. The first few weeks were hard. I won't pretend otherwise. There were nights when I'd wake up expecting to hear her in the bathroom, mornings when I'd instinctively grab 2 coffee mugs instead of one. The dog still wandered into the guest room where she used to throw her laundry, sitting by the door like he was waiting for her to come back. And there were days when my anger tried to sneak back in, when I'd think about her face in that photo, arms wrapped around a man I'd never met, and I'd feel the heat rise up in my chest. But those moments passed more quickly than I expected. Because underneath the betrayal, beneath the mess she made of our vows, there was a strange kind of peace in knowing I'd done everything I could. I had nothing to apologize for. No guilt to carry. No weight to explain away. I spent more time outside. Started running again, something I hadn't done seriously since my 20s. There was something satisfying about moving forward in a literal sense, feet hitting pavement, breath tight in my chest. I cleaned out the garage top to bottom, turned the spare room into a small office/workshop. I started cooking again, not just heating up whatever Rachel had bought for the week, but trying new things, learning what I actually liked. I even picked up an old hobby I dropped after we got married, woodworking. Built myself a new desk, a coffee table. Something about working with my hands helped me feel in control again. People reached out. My brother called more often. Friends invited me out. I went, sometimes. Not always. I needed time to be in my own head, to sit with things. I didn't want to rush into the distractions people always push after a breakup: bars, blind dates, forced smiles. I wasn't ready to move on in that way. I just wanted to feel like me again, without her name attached to everything. And then, slowly, life began to feel normal. Not the same normal, a new kind. A quieter one. I'd walk Jasper through the neighborhood in the evenings and actually take in the houses, the trees, the small things I used to pass without noticing. I'd listen to music in the car without needing to change it based on someone else's preferences. I'd fall asleep with the lights on, a book open in my lap, no one there to sigh about the lamp or complain about the blanket being too warm. A few months later, I met someone. Not through a dating app, not through friends. At a local farmer's market, of all places. She was standing at a stand comparing 2 bags of granola and muttering to herself, trying to decide which one was less disappointingly healthy. I made a dumb comment about life being too short for sad granola, and she laughed. Her name was Claire. She was warm, quick to laugh, and easy to talk to, not loud, not overly polished, just real. We talked for a while. Nothing flirty. Just 2 people who didn't feel like strangers. We started seeing each other slowly. Coffee first, then lunch, then a hike with Jasper. She knew I was coming off a divorce, and she didn't press. She wasn't trying to fill a space. She just made room. I don't know what we'll become, and that's okay. I'm not chasing a label. I'm chasing clarity, peace, a sense of self I'd lost somewhere in the comfort of the life I thought I had. Rachel's name hasn't come up in weeks. I don't talk about her. I don't think about her, not in the way I used to. Whatever emotions are left feel muted, distant, like something that happened to someone else in another lifetime. I haven't blocked her. I don't need to. There's nothing she could say that would matter now. Not after everything. Not after the silence that followed her choices. She's gone. But I'm not. I'm still here. And I'm just getting started. It's strange how something that once defined your world can eventually become a footnote in your life. Rachel used to be everywhere, in my thoughts, in my plans, in every small decision I made without even realizing it. And now? She's just a name I used to say out loud. A memory stored in a box I don't open. The wound she left closed slower than I expected, but it did close. Not cleanly, but completely. Every now and then, I catch myself standing in the kitchen or driving to work, and I'll remember something small, the way she used to hum when she made tea, or how she always had to rearrange the pillows before sitting on the couch. These things don't hurt anymore. They just pass through. Like echoes. They belong to a different version of my life, and to a man I'm not anymore. What surprised me most about all of this wasn't the betrayal itself, though that cut deep. It was how much of myself I'd given away over the years without noticing. I'd shrunk certain parts to keep the peace, ignored others to avoid rocking the boat. I let the routines become answers to questions I stopped asking. And when the bottom finally dropped out, it wasn't just Rachel I had to confront. It was the silence I'd let build inside myself. But here's the thing, pain clarifies. It shows you what's real, what matters, who you are when no one is clapping for you, when no one is coming to save you, when everything you counted on collapses. And in that space, raw and empty and terrifying, you start building again. Not to impress anyone, not to prove anything, but to reclaim what you forgot was yours. I'm not the man I was a year ago. I sleep better. I laugh more. I don't second-guess myself when I say no. I take longer walks. I have slower mornings. I talk less and listen more. I don't feel like I'm bracing for anything anymore. And maybe most importantly, I don't carry anyone who wouldn't carry me back. Claire is still in the picture. What we have is simple and honest. We show up. We say what we mean. There's no performance, no guessing. I don't know what it'll become, but I don't need to. For the first time in a long time, I'm not living in the future. I'm living now, and it's enough. To anyone reading this who's been where I was, who's felt that slow drift, that gut punch truth, that hollow after, just know this. It ends. The hurt, the questions, the wondering if you missed something obvious, it all fades. And what's left, if you let it, is something cleaner, sharper, stronger. You. Not the version someone tried to break. The one who came after. That's who I am now. And if you're still somewhere in the middle of it, still waiting, still hurting, keep going. Keep walking. Keep waking up and doing the boring, beautiful work of becoming whole again. You'll get there. So did I.